No bullets, no bombs, no tanks, just flesh and fists, knuckles and knees, grapples and grit. Imagine World War II not as the thunderous clash of steel and firepower, but as the most brutal hand-to-hand conflict in human history. In this alternate timeline, nations settle their scores not with nuclear arsenals, but with body blows. From the beaches of Normandy to the snows of Stalingrad, combat becomes personal, physical, and profoundly human. So what if the Second World War was fought entirely with fists? The divergence begins in 1921, following the devastating carnage of World War I. The horrors of mechanized slaughter leave the world reeling. Entire cities leveled, millions dead. Shell shock becomes a global epidemic. In response, a desperate League of Nations proposes a radical idea: total disarmament. A global treaty, called the Accord of Flesh and Honor, bans all ranged and mechanized weapons. Guns, tanks, bombs, even arrows, all declared illegal. The only legal form of combat becomes hand-to-hand. Countries can still maintain standing armies, but these forces must fight barehanded or with non-lethal martial implements. The reasoning is simple. If war must happen, let it happen with limits. Let it be personal. Let it hurt. At first, many laugh at the treaty, but global fatigue, anti-war protests, and a surge in pacifist sentiment sweep across Europe and the Americas. To everyone's shock, the treaty is ratified. Warfare becomes a matter of muscle, not machines. But not all nations embrace this shift with equal sincerity. Black markets thrive with forbidden weapon schematics, and underground fight labs spring up across major cities. The 1920s become an era of secret training, not with bullets, but with bare knuckles. Without firearms to bolster power, charismatic strongmen rise not only through rhetoric, but through raw physical dominance. In Germany, Adolf Hitler ascends not just through fiery speeches, but through bloody brawls in Munich beer halls. A veteran of trench warfare and a skilled boxer, Hitler turns the Nazi Party into a movement of strength and discipline. The SS becomes the Iron Palms, elite martial artists trained in Krav Maga, wrestling, and street fighting. Instead of propaganda films showing tanks rolling through cities, Nazi media celebrates fist-fighting heroes in slow motion, punches framed like poetry, brutal and beautiful. Every child in Germany is enrolled in martial academies by age 8. Schools teach mathematics and Muay Thai in equal measure. In Italy, Mussolini revives the aesthetics of ancient Rome. His soldiers march in gladiator armor, trained in pancration and knifeless close combat. Parades feature staged duels in Colosseum-style arenas. Fascist youth idolize modern-day gladiators as demigods. Japan, already a master of martial disciplines, doubles down. The Bushido Code is reinterpreted for modern warfare. Samurai armor is modernized for flexibility, and silent-footed jujitsu specialists are bred for stealth and subversion. By 1935, Japan's military is regarded as the most disciplined melee force on Earth. Meanwhile, democratic nations struggle. Britain still clings to gentlemanly boxing traditions. The US maintains its peacetime isolationism, while France believes diplomacy will prevent another war. None are prepared for what's coming. September 1939, Nazi Germany launches its first campaign. No tanks, no guns, just a tidal wave of fists. The invasion of Poland begins with thousands of German iron palms storming the borders in tight formations, shielded with reinforced gauntlets and leather armor. Polish troops, relying on outdated wrestling tactics, crumble under the coordinated German strike formations. German knuckle squads specialize in breaking ranks, overwhelming defenders with spinning elbows and coordinated takedowns. Polish officers attempt to rally with sabers and cavalry charges, but outdated traditions collapse under Germany's relentless bodywork. Cities become arenas. Schoolyards turn into battlegrounds. Trenches are replaced by fight pits dug into the mud. In Warsaw, a week-long melee ends with German troops planting their flag atop the battered presidential palace. Britain and France declare war, but hesitate to send troops. Their armies, undertrained and underprepared for full-contact warfare, retreat into defense mode. By 1940, Hitler's momentum is unstoppable. The Blitzknuckle strategy, fast-moving waves of brutal hand-to-hand combatants, crosses into Belgium and steamrolls into France. The French rely on static defense along the Maginot Line, but it's useless against agile assault squads that climb, jump, and punch their way around it. Street by street, German fighters take Paris. The final brawl in Montmartre becomes a symbol of the fall, a 48-hour melee where German shock troopers go bare knuckle against French resistance. Even artists, bakers, and schoolteachers join the fray in a last stand of desperate defiance. The Eiffel Tower is never bombed, but it is seized in a vertical brawl up its spiral staircases. By the end, Paris is subdued not by artillery, but by exhaustion. Charles de Gaulle flees to Britain, establishing the Free Fist forces in exile. With France lost, Britain becomes the next target. But Hitler can't launch an aerial assault. There are no planes for bombing runs in this world. Instead, German iron palms land in small crafts on the English coast, hoping to surprise and overwhelm. But Britain is ready. Drawing on pub brawling culture, rugby formations, and street fighting traditions, British fighters engage with surprising ferocity. Churchill declares, "We shall fight them on the beaches with our fists and with our fury." In places like Dover and Brighton, brawls erupt on the shorelines. London is transformed. Underground bunkers double as training gyms. Posters show bulldogs with boxing gloves, keep calm and carry uppercuts. British commandos deploy innovative strategies, flash mobs of brawlers, feint retreats, even coordinated pub riots staged to lure invaders into ambushes. Hitler's plan fails. The Battle of Britain becomes his first real defeat, and it's a bruising one. If you're enjoying this brawl through history, give this video a knockout punch by hitting that like button. 1941. Hitler launches Operation Knuckle, the largest coordinated melee invasion in history. German iron palms cross into Soviet territory, expecting weak resistance. Instead, they meet the Red Fist. Stalin's Soviet Union, brutal and pragmatic, has transformed its labor camps into martial training centers. Prisoners and soldiers alike are taught Sambo, Greco-Roman wrestling, and endurance fighting. The Soviets don't retreat, they entrap. Cities like Stalingrad become death arenas. Winter turns the war into hell. German fighters freeze in place, their blows slowed by frostbite. Soviet grapplers in fur-lined armor use the cold to their advantage. The turning point comes during a 3-day street brawl in Stalingrad's Red Square, where Soviet champion Dmitry Volkov breaks the German morale with a televised takedown of an entire Iron Palm platoon. Entire battalions fight hand-to-hand inside factories and basements. When German lines break, Soviet retaliation is swift and merciless. Their soldiers move in synchronized waves like human avalanches. On the other side of the world, Japan seeks dominance in the Pacific. On December 7, 1941, instead of aerial bombing, Japan launches a covert infiltration mission into Pearl Harbor. Trained squads of stealth fighters, masters of Aikido and ninjutsu, infiltrate the base and disable American forces through targeted knockout strikes. The U.S. is outraged. Public fury explodes. President Roosevelt, himself a judo black belt in this timeline, gives a fiery speech and orders immediate mobilization. The U.S. launches the Rocky Initiative, a crash program to train millions of American men and women in street fighting, boxing, and close-quarters combat. Training camps appear overnight. Veterans teach bare-knuckle boxing, modern grappling, and improvised weapon handling with sticks and riot gear. Hollywood joins in, producing films like Gloves of Glory to stir morale. June 6, 1944. The tide has turned. American, British, and Free Fist forces prepare to take Europe back. Operation Overfist begins with Allied troops storming the beaches of Normandy. With steel-reinforced gloves, riot shields, and martial discipline, they face entrenched German defenders behind stone barricades. Each inch of sand is paid for in broken ribs and bruised jaws. But wave after wave pushes forward. By nightfall, the beach is taken. From there, the Allies sweep through France, using guerrilla grappling and coordinated strike squads to dismantle Nazi control. Free French forces rise up, joining the Allies in overwhelming numbers. Town by town, German control collapses. The people of Paris erupt in celebration as Allied troops brawl their way through the Champs-Élysées. By 1945, Hitler is cornered in Berlin. Soviet and Allied forces close in. Rather than surrender, he challenges the Allies to a final duel, a gladiator battle in Berlin's ruined Olympic Stadium. Stalin sends in Ivan Petrov, known as the Hammer of the East. America offers Jack Steeljaw Carter, a Harlem boxing legend. The two champions fight before an audience of both armies. Petrov wins. Hitler, humiliated, attempts to flee but is captured and brought to justice. The war in Europe ends, not with a mushroom cloud, but with the silence that follows the final punch. While Europe breathes a sigh of relief, the Pacific theater still rages. Japan, though battered, refuses to surrender. A conventional invasion would be costly, even in a fist-only world. So the US unveils its most secret and controversial project yet, Project Hulk, a program to create genetically enhanced fighters with unmatched endurance, strength, and pain tolerance. These super brawlers are dropped into key Japanese cities, including Hiroshima, not to destroy, but to overwhelm. In a coordinated strike, 100 elite fighters engage in a non-stop gauntlet battle through the streets of Hiroshima. The goal? Incapacitate Japan's finest warriors and display the unstoppable stamina of America's human weapons. The city becomes a test of willpower. Residents watch from rooftops as one-on-one bouts rage for hours. Japan's best martial artists fall, one by one, exhausted. No buildings fall. No fires rage. But when the final fighter drops, a silence grips the nation. The message is clear. There's no more fight left. 2 days later, Japan surrenders. World War II ends, not with a bomb, not with fire, but with one final, undeniable punch. The post-war world becomes a strange mix of tradition and innovation. The United Nations creates the Global Combat Code, a system of regulated sparring and ritualized duels to settle international disputes. Olympic martial arts gain sacred status. Nations invest not in nukes but in training camps, arenas, and genetic enhancement. Super soldiers become cultural icons. Diplomacy becomes a test of strength and technique. In schools, students study math and martial theory. Political debates are settled with friendly sparring matches. Even business deals sometimes involve trial by combat contracts. Ironically, the brutal melee of WW2 makes war less frequent. Nations, wary of the cost of body-to-body conflict, turn to peace more often than before. Strength, honor, and physical endurance define the new world order. If you made it this far, don't leave without liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that notification bell so you never miss our next alternate universe deep dive. Check out the next video on your screen and step back into another world that could have been.